The headline hit like a thunderclap, echoing through boardrooms, factory floors, and small towns alike. It was a moment that would be remembered as a turning point in the story of American industry. Canada snatches 7 key contracts, U.S. jobs on the brink. The news spread rapidly, igniting concern and disbelief from coast to coast. 7 major international contracts, once destined for American steel, had gone to Canadian firms. These deals represented not just business, but the hopes and livelihoods of thousands of American families. Billions of dollars and thousands of jobs vanished overnight. The impact was immediate and devastating, leaving entire communities in uncertainty. Wall Street panicked. Main Street felt betrayed. The shockwaves rippled through the economy, from bustling cities to quiet rural towns. The policies meant to protect American steel had backfired, making the industry unpredictable and unattractive to global partners. Instead of security, they brought chaos and doubt. Stock prices crashed, union leaders scrambled, and politicians pointed fingers. The blame game began, but solutions were nowhere in sight. But beneath the noise, a deeper truth emerged. This was a fundamental shift in industrial power. The world was watching, and the balance was tipping. The contracts weren't just lost. They were a global vote of no confidence in American reliability. International partners were seeking stability elsewhere. American steel, once the backbone of the nation, was now seen as a risky bet. The proud legacy of generations was suddenly in question. The legacy of American industry was being chipped away, not by a distant rival, but by a neighbor. The competition was closer than ever, and the threat more personal. The tremors of this loss were felt in every steel town across the country. Families wondered about their future, and communities braced for harder times. The foundation of American industrial might was cracking. What once seemed unbreakable now faced an uncertain future, as the nation grappled with the reality of a new era. Mark Kowalski felt the blow, a heavy weight settling in his chest, before the words even reached him. It was as if the air itself had changed, thick with uncertainty and dread. The mill was going quiet. The familiar clang of metal and the hum of machines faded, replaced by an eerie silence that seemed to echo through the empty halls. The big contract, gone to Canada. Years of hard work, hopes, and promises vanished with a single decision made far from the factory floor. For Mark, a third-generation steel worker, this wasn't just a job lost, it was a way of life erased. His grandfather's stories, his father's pride, all built on the foundation of steel. His family had survived recessions and strikes, weathered tough time together. But this felt final, like the end of an era. The company blamed supply chain stability and predictable trade partnerships, corporate phrases that meant nothing to the men and women whose livelihoods depended on the mill. Driving home, Mark saw his town's future fading before his eyes. Diners, shops, the VFW hall, all tied to the mill's fate, all now at risk. His dreams, his daughter's college tuition, the mortgage payments, the pride of a new truck, suddenly felt out of reach, slipping through his fingers. That night, the silence at home was heavier than the roar of the mill had ever been. The quiet pressed in, filled with unspoken fears and unanswered questions. His wife spoke of retraining, of starting over, but they both knew, in a steel town, there were no real alternatives, no easy paths forward. On TV, analysts debated trade policy, tossing around numbers and theories, but for Mark, it was just noise. None of it could bring back what was lost. The only reality was the emptiness of his future, the uncertainty that now filled every corner of his life. The lost contracts weren't just numbers on a page, they were a hammer blow to his family, his identity, and the legacy he hoped to pass on. The American dream, earned with sweat and calloused hands, was dissolving, leaving behind only memories and questions about what comes next. Mark's story was echoed in steel towns across the nation, where families faced the same heartbreak and uncertainty, bound together by loss. The loss was personal, and it cut deep, deeper than any layoff notice or news headline could ever show. For Mark, and for so many others, it was the end of a chapter they never wanted to close. How did it come to this? The story of American steel is one of pride, resilience, and hard work. But now, uncertainty hangs heavy in the air, and the faces of workers reflect a growing anxiety about the future. It started with a promise: protect American jobs. Politicians vowed to bring back the glory days, assuring workers that help was on the way. The U.S. imposed steep tariffs on imported steel, aiming to revive domestic industry. The hope was that by making foreign steel more expensive, American mills would thrive once again. For a moment, optimism surged. Mills reopened, jobs returned, and communities that had struggled for years felt a renewed sense of purpose. But tariffs are blunt tools. They disrupted global supply chains and drove up costs for American manufacturers who relied on affordable steel to build everything from cars to bridges. Retaliation followed. Trade partners hit back with their own tariffs, sparking a trade war that hurt U.S. exporters and made it harder for American goods to compete overseas. The world market became chaotic, rules shifting with every political whim. Uncertainty rippled through the global economy, making it difficult for businesses to plan ahead. International companies, needing stability for billion-dollar projects, grew wary of the U.S. They began to question whether America was still a reliable partner for long-term investment. The American market, once a pillar of certainty, now looked risky. Investors hesitated, and the flow of capital began to slow. The tariffs, meant to shield U.S. steel, ended up isolating it. Factories that had briefly reopened faced new challenges, and some were forced to close again. While America built walls, others built bridges. Countries around the world strengthened their trade relationships, leaving the U.S. on the sidelines. Global firms turned to countries offering stability, forging new partnerships, and investing in places where the rules were clear and predictable. The U.S. lost not just contracts, but trust. The gamble had backfired, leaving American steel more isolated than ever, and communities once again searching for answers. While the U.S. waged trade wars, Canada played a different game, one of stability and strategy. Canadian leaders saw opportunity in America's unpredictability. They doubled down on global trade, securing deals with Europe and Asia. Canadian steel now meant tariff-free access to massive markets. They streamlined regulations, offering clear, consistent rules for business. For companies investing billions, Canada's predictability was priceless. Trade missions spread a simple message: we are a stable partner. International corporations, weary of U.S. drama, listened. When the 7 contracts came up, the choice was clear. Canada offered not just steel, but peace of mind. In global industry, stability is the ultimate advantage. Canada seized it. The shift split 2 cities and 2 futures. In Hamilton, Ontario, the contract sparked a renaissance. Mills buzzed with new hires and high-tech upgrades. Now hiring signs filled windows. Optimism returned. The city invested in infrastructure, training, and growth. Hamilton reclaimed its identity as a steel powerhouse. Meanwhile, in Lorain, Ohio, the story was heartbreak. The mill faced idling. For lease signs replaced now hiring. Local businesses struggled, hope faded, and young people left. The tax base shrank, services suffered, and despair grew. 2 communities once alike now moved in opposite directions. For Hamilton, revival. For Lorain, decline. The consequences were real and deeply human. Canada's rise wasn't luck, it was strategy. Billions went into modernizing ports and rail, creating seamless logistics. Automated ports, efficient rail, and digital customs cut costs and delays. The government partnered with industry, solving bottlenecks together. Clear, long-term regulations encouraged investment in green tech. Trust and collaboration replaced red tape. Canada built not just better infrastructure, but a smarter system. While U.S. infrastructure crumbled, Canada's platform attracted global business. The 7 contracts proved the blueprint worked. Canada competed on reliability, not just price. The world noticed. In today's world, predictability is priceless. The 7 global firms didn't choose Canada for price, they chose it for stability. American steel was competitive, but the risk was too high. CEOs can't gamble billion-dollar projects on unpredictable trade policy. Canada's stable agreements and consistent rules offered peace of mind. The predictability premium made Canada the safer bet. Trust, not tariffs, won the day. Protectionism erodes the trust that global commerce needs. Canada's reputation for reliability became its greatest asset. Companies will always choose the partner they can count on. That's why trust trumps tariffs. The loss of steel contracts is a human tragedy in the Rust Belt. For every headline, there are thousands of untold stories. Steelworkers like Mark face unemployment and lost security. The ripple hits Main Street. Diners, hardware stores, car dealers, all suffer. As paychecks vanish, spending stops and decline accelerates. Families face impossible choices. Stress and uncertainty mount. Local governments cut services as tax revenues fall. The fabric of the community unravels. Hope fades, and social problems rise. The true cost is measured in broken dreams and fractured towns. Behind the headlines are real people, lives upended. The pain is silent, but everywhere. Canada's steel victory brings both promise and risk. Investment and jobs fuel growth, but rapid success can overheat the economy. Labor shortages and rising costs threaten sustainability. Canada's fortunes remain tied to the US, its largest trading partner. A wounded America could retaliate, creating new challenges. Canada must manage the boom wisely, investing in training and infrastructure. Diversifying trade is essential to reduce dependence on the US. Predictability is Canada's edge, but it requires constant vigilance. The 7-contract coup is just the beginning. The challenge: turn this moment into lasting prosperity.